What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action. Spawning in the blue color playing is Odin. His name is Mr. Boat. Luckily for Mr. Boat here, he's got some water to float on. His opponent today in the red color playing as Hades. His name is Nullus. Nullus the Great, Nullus the Wise. Nullus the playing Hades on Mirage. I think this is potentially the first time I've seen Hades on this map. I'm interested to see what the idea is here with Nullus. There's a lot of really fun things you can do here with Greek, and I'm sure that Nullus is going to be experimenting with him. So we'll see what he's going to go for. But the map is Mirage, the unique, even every single map has got an almost gimmick to it. Every map has got basically a gimmick. You have your standard map, obviously. There's got no gimmicks. So your standard map is like Blue Lagoon, for example. It's got a decent amount of hunt to start. Not a crazy amount of hunt, but hunt is all across the map, nice and open. Then you start getting into your gimmick maps. So you get something like Oasis. Well, there's a big fat tree in the middle. Big fat oasis in the middle and not very much hunt. Then you get into your more gimmicky maps like Mediterranean. There's a big fat pool of water in the middle you get to fight over. Another little bit of a gimmick. And then you get into your Mirage games, as we do see a granary going up here. Oh, that's a house, never mind. And then you get into your really, really interesting games where you're like, well, everyone's played on a butt ton of those maps, so why don't we try something a little bit different? Instead of putting the water in the middle of the map, we put the water on the other side of the map. Boom! Absolute genius here. Mirage, the map that these players have been subjected to in this game. So, what is the plan here? Personally, I really, really like Norse on this map. I think Norse is a great civilization on Mirage. You get some food. It's some safe food you get to eat for the entirety of the game. You don't have to worry about. Mr. Boat not realizing that there's no fish up the top. It has to be down the bottom, but that's fine. Maybe he hasn't really researched this map all too much. But you get some food on the bag. You get to have some fun in this game. Greek, on the other hand, you get a hyper accelerated Athena Rush, for example. That can be really strong. You get like an extra, what seems to be in this game, you get an extra 8 fish, which means an extra 8 food villages basically to help you out in the early game, which is a huge boost. If you think about how many villages 8 villages is, it's basically an extra building and a half in the early game that you can produce from, which is a really big deal. Which means your early game is going to be able to pump in there and do so much damage. So we'll see how the thing's going to go. Mr. Boat here sharing his ox cart over here. I like that. You could have possibly dragged the boar into his hometown center there, but he chose to come next to the wood line, which I do like. It does mean that the villagers are going to be able to jump onto this wood line really easily a little bit later in the game. He's got himself out nearly all of his fishing ships here. The aim for both players in this game should be to be hitting the classical age at about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Anything later than 4 minutes and 30 seconds on this map from any god is late here. There is no point, with the exception of a one town center fast heroic, which I don't think is an exception. I actually think you can probably still want to go 430 even if you're going for a fast heroic. If you're going slower than a 430 here, as we see 430 from Nullus, your build order is maybe not the best here. Now, a slight delay here from Mr. Boat is getting out of dwarf as well. Not the biggest of deals, as long as it's not too far after 430. Yeah, that's my opinion here, at least where it all comes down to. So, big question is, what is Nullus going to be going for here? Nullus has got himself only 4 villages on gold. To me, this looks like Nullus is doing some sort of one town center play. Now, whether or not he goes for like a huge all-in the classical age or not, we'll have to wait and see. Now, the big thing that you do want to remember is, unlike on maps like Anatolia or Midgard, where you have like 18 fishing ship and per scene is almost a guaranteed pick, like no-brainer, you want to be grabbing per scene. On a map like Mirage with only 8 or 6 to 9 fishing ships, per scene isn't necessarily a immediate grab. Think about it this way. Per scene costs 100 or 300 resources. If you've got, say you've got 9 fishing ships, it's like increasing your fishing ships by 3. Now, fish doesn't exactly grab fish at one food a second. It's kind of half of that, but let's just call it 1 food a second for the point of it. You spend 300 resources on that for 3 extra villages, giving you an extra 1 food a second. It's not that, but just say it is. That's what? 6 minutes to pay your per scene off. So is it worth it to grab it straight away? Both players going for it. I'm not 100% sure it's 100% worth it to grab it straight away. It takes a long time to pay that off in terms of total resources. We do see a cheeky dock here for Nullus. Nullus being cheeky. Mr. Boat not utilizing his ravens to check that one out. He's going to be in for a rude awakening here. As Nullus has now got a ton of villagers on wood and a ton of villagers on gold. He might be looking to grab a second town center after all is said and done. He's not put any military buildings down just yet as the longhouse has come down for Mr. Boat. One of the big advantages of playing Hades on this map has to be the fact you can just throw sentinels down and you're not going to be able to get raided all too easily, as a handful of these trireme are going to be coming out. And what is Mr. Boat going to do in reaction to this is the big question. Look at the resources Mr. Boat's got. He's got 600 food in the bank, not spending those efficiently here, as he's currently eating all of these, this hunt over here. He's got the units popping out, raiding cavalry coming through as the fishing ship's diving into the dock. And now Nullus, at the cost of 3 trireme, has managed to idle all of Mr. Boat's fishing economy, as now the longboats are going to start coming through. We don't see any more trireme coming in. Military Academy, archery range coming down now for Nullus. Lots of resources in the bank. Honestly, some sort of fast mythic here wouldn't be a bad idea here from Nullus after he gets this damage done. We are starting to see the longboats coming through, though. Some sort of mythic age behind this wouldn't be a bad idea. Pulling the villagers off of wood, putting them over onto cows. So we do see the ravens scouting around. There is a Minotaur out and about. Where did the Valkyrie go? Maybe it got taken out somewhere. I must have missed that, unfortunately. I don't see the Valkyrie. Oh, there it is. Valkyrie, moving forward, going to be looking to hit the food villages out on this position. As one thing that Mr. Boat can do here, as his raiders come through, is pop the longboats out to take this fight while he raids. Is going to be the best way to do it. It's going to be a big, big distraction here as he does exactly that. Look at the raiding cavalry coming in. Mr. Boat getting some value over here. Nullus' reaction there is solid. He will be losing 1 or 2 villages, though, as the Minotaur coming through here to help defend this one. 1 villager over here looking like it's going to be going down. 3 villages total, it seems, goes down as the longboats come over here. They have defended. Nullus gets out another couple of triremes here. I wouldn't mind seeing another dock getting thrown down there as Forest Fire getting dropped. Restoration getting thrown down onto this position as well as Mr. Boat here. He gets good damage done. Unfortunately, the forest wasn't connected, so he doesn't get to clear that entire forest up. But Nullus over on this position with 5 trireme, waiting, watching, dreaming. Mr. Boat with the 4 longboat here as well, just holding back. As we do see the raiding cavalry going to be retreating back here as well. Now the longboats trying to push through here. The trireme defending as best as they possibly can. They're going to be retreating back here as well. So the longboats starting to hit some range. Nullus will be able to win this water here. The question is, should Mr. Boat care or not? And funnily enough, it depends on how many trireme Nullus makes. And Nullus is doing this absurdly well. He's only making just enough to stay just a little bit in front of Mr. Boat here in terms of numbers. So he's made himself maybe a total of 6 boats or 7 boats here. Mr. Boat's made 3. The question is going to be, can Nullus secure himself a second gold mine here after all of these boats have come out? He's also making some fishing ships to long distance fish here. It's always value up until the late game where long distance fishing stops being value to make those, because it's going to be resources you otherwise wouldn't have had, as we do see the raiding cavalry managing to jump straight onto those Toxotes at the back. They're sniping those nicely as the units of Nullus getting taken out here. The big question is, can Nullus make this work? And here's the thing. Nullus going up through Aphrodite already. I'd love to see a stable here from Nullus. Take a look at the army that Mr. Boat's making. He's making nothing but these raiding cavalry. Nullus has got all the fish economy. He's still got some cows remaining. A stable going up. Not for Hippocon here, but for Prodromus at this point to deal with these raiders would be huge, because I mean Mr. Boat's making himself some throwing axemen here. He's getting himself a second town center, but Mr. Boat's basically his game plan has to be he needs to pick off some stuff here. As we do see the docks, the trireme actually here are getting taken down underneath the dock fire here with all of those fishing ships inside of that dock. This isn't something you see very often. 14.4 damage. Norse dock here doing a ton of damage here to those trireme, and it looks like Mr. Boat has been able to clear up this water here nice, as we see a couple more trireme coming out for Nullus as the raiding cavalry coming back. And I honestly think now Mr. Boat, especially off of 2 town centers, he's going to be able to get a gold staff here if he focuses on it. Now, the Ravens, he needs to get those in position, or at least get some buildings get set up over there, as we do see the curse getting dropped in. Mr. Boat's got 2 options to choose from. One, go to the next age, go for the gold staff, or go for the classical age all in here. Personally, I'm a fan of some sort of a classical age all in. We see a market coming up here for Nullus as a just in case, as the villagers making their way over onto this gold mine. Mr. Boat's got an inkling that the gold over here is going to get grabbed, as the units in the middle here eating these baboon are going to get pushed back, as Nullus is finding a very big advantage here as the units coming back here for Mr. Boat. Mr. Boat here is still not able to advance. It looks like he is going for something very, very aggressive here in the classical age, as he's trying to snipe down that Nemean line, surrounding it with all of the units. The hearse are coming in to take that one down. Can Mr. Boat win this fight, though? He's getting his throwing axeman here a little bit late. It looks like Nullus's army position here is too strong, as those raiding cavalry all ran head first into the hoplites there. They were able to destroy those raiders beautifully, as the Toxotes sat back there doing tons of damage without losing anything. Nullus is at 93 population. He's controlled the water here nicely. He's winning in the middle. He's going to be able to potentially get a gold staff here as well, as Mr. Boat's retreating back. We do see the raiding cavalry going to come through and going to start going for those cheeky snipes here in this game. Heavy infantry coming through as well for Nullus here as this game continues, as we do see the raiding cavalry retreating back for the time being here. Valkyrie going to be healing everything up as well. Villagers jumping onto the cows here as Mr. Boat getting himself watchtowers. Not exactly what you want to be seeing here from Mr. Boat, but he does have the town center advantage here. He is back in age, so he's got some catching up to do in terms of tech. He's behind on fishing ships. He's behind 8 villages there in terms of, or 11 fishing ships here, it seems, in terms of resources, as the longboat pops out yet again. Going to be able to deal with that trireme, as the fishing ships will be able to get back their fishing spot here. As another watchtower comes through, Mr. Boat still struggling to produce units. He's still only got himself a handful of military buildings here. As the watchtower is coming up, will they be able to get up in time? Will he be able to win this fight or not is the big question. Look at the positioning here from Nullus. Look at those Toxotes able to sit on that wood line there. He spreads the hoplites out, does a quick flick around of the hoplites to block his Toxotes in. The Toxotes target down those throwing axemen down beautifully there, as the hoplites more than happily going to be starting to take these watchtowers down and pressuring this gold mine, taking Mr. Boat off of these resources here. Nullus sitting at a firm 115 of 150 population. Plenty of resources on the bank. I'm sure Nullus's plan here to go to the Mythic Age through Artemis is going to be incredibly difficult to deal with. Sitting underneath these watchtowers, you can basically think about the watchtowers as about 4 population each in terms of defense. Look at the population differential. These towers are not going to be cutting it here. The villagers coming in to help out as well to deal with this, but it's not working. All those villagers are falling. Mr. Boat's population, Mr. Boat's economy here is about to be in so much trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We do see villagers up on this gold mine, though, for Mr. Boat. Sneaking a gold mine in the middle of nowhere there. It's going to be a big, big help, as Mr. Boat sending more and more units over here. Nullus at this point, look at the military buildings. He's got them kind of just pumping out. He's only got 3 military buildings, but he's still able to maintain a very, very consistent source of population here. At 100 population, Mr. Boat dropping down to now 60 population, as the villagers still trying to shank their way to some sort of livable position here. As it seems like, for now, Nullus's population is It's kind of been dealt with, but now the Hades Shades following in here after all is said and done. The villagers trying to get back over onto the gold over here as well. Mr. Boat just does not have the production here. He's got kind of enough resources in a way, or had enough resources in a way, but he just didn't choose to build production buildings here. And Nullus here is deciding to pull back for the time. He can definitely continue to fight underneath all of this if he so chooses. He is fighting underneath 3 towers now, though, so it starts getting a little bit tricky. As he does pull back, Nullus getting himself a 3rd town. I'm surprised to see this town center. This town center doesn't make sense to me. If Nullus just goes Mythic Age here, Earthquake the main town center, get himself Chimera. Mr. Boat in a really, really tough position. Another watchtower coming down now for Mr. Boat. As Nullus biding his time, he's still going to be able to go to the Mythic Age nonetheless. My general rule is Mythic Age and then Town Center, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Just Mythic Age comes in a little bit earlier, Town Center comes in a little bit later. So long as it does kind of queue up at the same time. I just think that sometimes people get the Town Center down before they click the Mythic Age, and things get out of hand as you just trying to use all the population you got, and your Mythic Age never really comes through. Do have someone in the chat saying Norse towers are so weak. They actually got the same stats as every other watchtower in the game, except for Hades. Obviously, Hades has got the bonus buildings. Pretty sure they have the same stats: 8 damage, 600 HP. Well, I'll check that afterwards. Is the army now pushing through here? Toxotes doing all the good damage here from behind. Sitting on this wood line here is so good for the Toxotes. As more and more villages are falling. Artemis is almost hit. 35 villages remaining for Mr. Boat. Nullus going to have to retreat back here. He's got plenty of resources to chop more military buildings down. He still hasn't done so. Definitely think this is a bit of a mistake here from Nullus. He could definitely have more population out consistently here. He's still got plenty of resources in the bank. Maybe he wants to throw down a 3rd town center though instead. As the units coming in to get damage done. You see, look, oh, Mr. Boat's coming through with his longboat to push Nullus off of those fishing spots. I think Nullus has been consistently hitting that as well. 98% of the way there. Artemis has hit. Mr. Boat gets earthquakes on the front town center. I'm surprised to see not the home town center there, but on the front town center, guaranteeing that kill as the Toxotes pushing through over onto this position, taking down the ox carts. The throwing axeman getting cleaned up over here as well, as another tower is not going to be enough here for Mr. Boat to hold on, as the units are just too strong on this position. Mr. Boat trying to pull his villages yet again. Mr. Boat at 40 villages to Nullus' 57. As Nullus has got 130 population to Mr. Boat's 54 population. Mr. Boat, one last-ditched effort as the Chimera pops up. And Mr. Boat doesn't want to participate in the barbecue coming for his villagers. He decides to tap out. A really well-played game here by Nullus. Mr. Boat here couldn't quite get the advantage here in the Classical Age. I think he decided to sit back a little bit when he could have full sent. And I mean full sent here. Start getting your armory upgrades. Go for the gold staff here. With Nullus sitting on this water, I just don't value this as a play where you can both raid this water and defend your villages, because you spend so much population here pushing off of the fish here, and then you're going to just end up losing the population elsewhere. But Mr. Boat just didn't kind of commit hard enough to the land here, and hard enough to like a forward base and pressuring these gold mines, raiding back here, raiding over here, hitting the army, doing all the good stuff in the Classical Age. You just couldn't quite make it work. And Nullus claims the dub. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.